In this lesson, we're going to explore the concept of creativity. What comes to mind for you when you hear the term creativity? Do you think of a specific ability? Do you think of certain people or the things that they made? Are there certain words that come to mind? In the 1950s and 60s, an educational psychologist and theorist named Mel Rhodes studied the various definitions of creativity. In his work, Rhodes reviewed the existing literature looking for a single, unifying definition. He ended up finding 40. He found 40 different ways that people studying creativity define the construct, and this actually forced Rhodes to alter the direction of his work. Instead of synthesizing towards a single unified definition, Rhodes instead categorized these definitions. He classified them into 4 strands, with each strand representing a distinct perspective or view on creativity. Are you familiar with Drake? You know, the musician Drake, the rapper named Aubrey Richards, more commonly referred to or known as Drake? Well, in 2016, Drake released a record called Views, and the premise of this album was to look at the city of Toronto from different perspectives, from different viewpoints. For the album artwork, Drake was photographed at different locations in the city, each providing a distinct angle on which to view Toronto. You see this photo here? In this photo, you can see Drake on the observation deck at the CN Tower, which actually happens to be located in downtown Toronto. Another photo had him perched atop a midtown building overlooking a major north-south artery of the city called Yonge Street. So Drake looked at the city of Toronto from different perspectives, from different views, and each song on the album also aimed to capture a different angle on which to view the city. Now you may be wondering, why are we doing this deep dive conceptual analysis of a Drake record? Well, it's because I'm trying to make an analogy here. In the same way that Drake looked at Toronto from different angles of view, when exploring creativity, we can also explore the different perspectives on which people look at and locate creativity. And these views of creativity happen to align with the 4 categories of definitions that our good old friend Mel Rhodes delineated in the 1960s. Now, where is creativity located? For some, creativity is located in the mind. It's located in the individual. It's located in our thoughts and in our mental abilities. This can be called the cognitive view of creativity. What is cognition? Cognition is the mental processing of information. It's the thoughts that we have, and different people have different levels of cognitive creative ability. There's variance, for example, in people's ability to come up with original ideas. Some people are amazing at this. Some people just have a natural predisposition for coming up with unique and unusual ideas. So, for some, creativity is in a person's mind. It's located in their thinking, in their cognition. This is the cognitive view of creativity because it's all about our ability to cognitively, creatively process information in our mind. Now, where else is creativity located? For some people, creativity is located in the product. Are you familiar with this painting? Are you familiar with the artist who created this masterwork of visual art? This is a Van Gogh. It's an artifact of the genius of Vincent van Gogh at work. If you ever have the opportunity to go to an art gallery where Van Gogh's paintings are exhibited, you may notice the colors, the broad palette that's used. You may also notice the types of strokes that Van Gogh used. These are regarded as being quite innovative for the time. So someone might look at this painting, someone who's an expert on fine art might look at this and say, this is a very creative work. For them, when saying that, they are locating creativity in the product. They're locating it in the artifact of a person's creative activity. It's in the product that they created. This is often called the product view of creativity. So we've talked about the cognitive view, where creativity is in the mind. It's in the person, in the individual. And we've also now seen it can be located outside the individual in the creative artifact, in the product. Now, where else can creativity be located? Still for others, creativity is in the process, in the doing or in the experience of creating. For some, the product isn't the most important part. It's about the value of the experience itself and the process of creating. Anybody familiar with the jazz musician in this photo? This is one of my favorite musicians of all time, an absolute genius of jazz improvisation. This is tenor and soprano saxophone player John Coltrane. When I look at this photograph, I characterize Coltrane as being in a flow state, a state where a person is deeply immersed in the creative experience, deeply immersed in a creative state. Just by looking at Coltrane here, we can make some observations. One thing that I notice is that his eyes are closed and his head is tilted a little bit downwards. This to me indicates that Coltrane here is inwardly focused. His attention is focused internally on his melodic thoughts. I imagine that he's hearing internal musical thoughts that are emerging in his mind in real time, and he's expressing them through his instrument. So here we can say that John Coltrane is in a creative state. He's in a creative experience. He's fully immersed in the creative process. On this view, creativity can be located in the moment. It could be located in the experience. And we can call this the experiential view of creativity. So we've located creativity in the mind. That's the cognitive view. We've located it in the artifacts of creativity. That's the product view. And we've located it in the creative process. That's the experiential view. Let's now take a look at a fourth view. Where else is creativity located? For some people, creativity is in the spaces in which we are creative, in the spaces in which we do creativity. It's in the environment. If you look at this photo here, you can see an environment that to me looks like somewhere I'd like to work. This looks like a space where I'd like to do creative things. I happen to find that some spaces are very conducive to creativity, and these spaces tend to have unique features or characteristics that make them conducive. One thing that I like about this space is that there's a lot of natural light. There are some large windows that provide natural light. That's something I like. I also like that the environment is open concept. I like that there are tall ceilings. It's spacious, and that spaciousness is something that seems to nurture and support creative thinking and creative engagement. This is somewhere that I feel like I could be creative. So we could say that this is a creative space, and when saying that, we locate creativity in the environment. We locate it in the context, in the place. We can call this the contextual or environmental view of creativity. It's about the space that we do creativity in, and some of those spaces are more creative, while some are less creative. Some are more conducive to creativity because they have features that may support and inspire our creativity. So we have these different views of creativity, and if you remember, I made an analogy to Drake's Views album, where he looked at the city of Toronto from different perspectives. Same thing here. We have different views of creativity, and each of these different views corresponds with different places where we locate it. We have the cognitive view, where creativity is in the person. We have the environmental view, where creativity is in spaces and places. We have the experiential view, where it's located in the creative process. And we have the product view, where creativity is actually located in the artifacts of our creative engagement. Now, you might notice that all these locations happen to start with the letter P. They start with the letter P, and that aligns quite nicely with the 4 Ps model. These 4 Ps, of course, are the creative person, product, process, and place.